Well, good morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you're watching this, and welcome back to Shutters and Speed. Today we've got a real treat in store. We've come to see our good friend Mick here, who is going to show us around this beautiful Triumph Tiger from 1977. So like I say, we're in for a real treat. So, as we say here in Norfolk, even though I'm not quite sure if we are in Norfolk or not, we'll just run them their titles, boy, and we'll tell you all about this wonderful machine in front of us.
And you'll be glad to know we are in Norfolk. just. Yeah.
Yeah, so welcome back to Shutters and Speed, and as I said earlier, we are here with our good friend Mick, who has kindly agreed to show us around this wonderful machine here. So, Mick, what's the story behind this?
So I've owned this bike for about 15 years or so. Wanted something a bit bigger than the pre-unit Bonneville, and but I wanted a single carburettor. So this was sat in Supremes over, I think it was Earl Shilton they were at near Leicester, for months and months and months, and I kept going in and seeing it, and decided one day I'm going to have it. And coincidentally, on the day I bought it, somebody else came in with the cash to buy it. So as far as I'm concerned, she was always going to be mine, and she always will be.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. Yeah, she's been fantastic ever since.
Yeah.
It was a marvellous bike.
Yes, I mean we've had a quick look around before we came on camera, and I think it's pretty fair to say that you're a Triumph classic nut. Well, I mean other marks as well, of course,
yeah.
but Triumphs in particular. What is special about this to you, and what have you done to it since you've had it?
I just like it in that you can go anywhere, do anything on it. Admittedly, on a motorway or whatever, you're not going to want to hammer it down, at the speeds we tend to go with modern bikes. But it will do pretty much anything. And I've been out with a friend of mine on his T140 and two other guys on Sprint STs, and they were astonished that we were riding around Northamptonshire that they didn't lose us, and we were quite comfortable following them. Anybody who hasn't ridden something like this will be surprised just how well they can go, and they work really well.
And is it something that you use quite regularly?
Yeah. This and another bike I've got with regards to the classics are the go-to bikes, and as I've already said, it can just be trusted, and it's comfortable to ride. My daughter has not long passed a test, and this is the British bike that she rides when she rides one, because it's got the left-hand gear change, whereas all my other bikes are older and they've got the right-hand gear change.
I see. So, any plans for it in the future?
No, just ride it.
Yeah,
keep
absolutely.
It'll never get restored. Just maintain it every year. They get a good service. I'm not brilliant at polishing, but I try and keep them decent.
I think that's the thing, you see, because like we were saying off camera, before everything had to be nut and bolt perfect, but there's a definite trend now that people want to see things like this, that although they're not absolutely perfect, they're in a lovely usable condition, which is great to see.
Yeah, the problem, I've restored bikes, and the problem is when you've restored them, you don't want to take them out because you don't want to get them dirty.
No.
And then you always get your nut and bolt pickers. I did the National Road Rally earlier in the year on the Commando, and you get people admiring it, but then you get other people trying to find something wrong with it, and it's just like, go away. It is as it is, and if it works and if you like it, then...
And it's all the better for it, I have to say, it really is.
Yeah.
Having said all that, can you just give us a bit more of an insight into the history of this particular bike?
So this is as it came to me.
Yeah.
The one thing I do know that isn't standard is this tank. It's a later, I think, a Les Harris tank.
Right.
It's a little bit too long for the seat, and a little bit awkward getting to the oil filler here. But I think it suits the bike, and so I'm quite happy to keep it on. I don't know why it was fitted maybe just because it does look good, and I noticed that the Triumph factory are coming out with these schemes more and more now.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
When I bought it, the deal was to either Supremes would MOT it and I pay a bit more, or I take it as it was and deal with it myself. And it basically just needed new fork seals. About a year into ownership, it was using a lot of oil and blowing a lot of oil, so the top end came off and it had new valves and guides, new rings, barrels honed. Other than that, I've not done really a thing to it apart from service it.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned about the single carburettor, and some people would think, well, some people would say, well, surely twin carburettors would be best. But as you mentioned earlier, a single carb is so much easier to set up on these.
Smooth, it's easy to set up.
Yeah.
You've just got one mixture screw.
Uh-huh.
You've not got the cables stretching differently. So with a twin carb, for those that don't know, you've got one cable going down to a splitter with two cables coming off, and you're forever having to adjust them. And it's not a deal breaker if they get a little bit out of sync, but it's just so much easier. And the way we ride these things now, the power difference is just not even worth talking about.
Yes, yes. I mean, I've got a friend who's got a Motor Guzzi V twin, and that's from sort of late 70s. And as you said earlier, that I went out with him on my modern machine, and I was struggling to keep up with him.
Yeah.
And it's so that they definitely still have a place. They really do.
Yeah. You just what I find is when I'm out with mates, and they're all, most of them are on modern bikes. If we're going out in a big group, I tend to take a modern bike because I can keep up with them most of the time, unless they're going stupid, in which case I'll let them go, because that's not the way to ride in groups. Yeah. It's the stopping.
Yeah.
Even with these brakes, they're discs, but they are not as good as modern brakes by any distance.
No.
Excuse the unintended pun. and so you just got to be so careful about stopping with them.
Oh, that's interesting, because the regular viewers will know that we've done one or two Japanese classic two-strokes on the channel before, and that is the one thing that I've noticed when riding. The performance levels are pretty good, but it is the brakes where they do tend to suffer a bit compared to modern machinery.
Yeah, and you'll find it with this as well. Yeah. Maybe not quite so bad as the, like you, I rode Japanese bikes in the 70s. Yeah. It maybe is a little bit better, but certainly not what you'd expect from a modern bike.
Okay.
You won't do a stoppie on it.
I don't think I intend to.
I'm glad to hear it.
Well, that is a great insight into this beautiful machine we have in front of us here. So the only question now is, as ever, she looks good, but how does she ride? So, as in the time-honoured tradition on this channel with these types of videos, we'll have a good look around this fabulous machine before we go out for a spin. Well, here we are out on the old Triumph, and I have to say, what a great joy it is. I'm following Mick on one of his more modern bikes, but I have to say, already, from what he was saying in the introduction and the interview we did with him, you can feel just how wonderful this thing is to ride. It's sort of nice and smooth, it's comfortable. There's not a lot more one can say about it. It really is fantastic. We're sort of mogging along here on this fen road, and it's absolutely brilliant. We're going along quite nicely. This will test the 360. Yep, we've got that all right. Brilliant. Yeah, so it's whenever I do these types of videos, and you see all these old classics being looked after like the people like Mick do, it's a real joy, because you get to feel the sort of nostalgia, if you like, and everything just works so fantastically well. I mean, obviously I left it to Mick to start the thing up and so forth, which I think is probably a good thing, but getting used to it has been really a good experience. It really has. Yeah, once you get the hang of the gear change, it's really quite slick. When you get used to modern machinery, you sometimes think that these are going to be a bit sort of almost agricultural, but now it's warmed up, it's going along quite nicely, and it backs up completely what Mick was saying. He was saying off camera when I first arrived, how this is the one he probably rides the most, and it really seems to get along quite nicely. Goes round the bends quite well. It really is very good. God, it pulls so beautifully from low revs. I wasn't quite sure what gear I was in, but it just pulls. The more and I've only been on this thing for a few minutes, but already I can see why these types of bike are so sought after and enjoyed by so many people. And the thing is as well, people like Mick and all the other people that I've come across who are nurturing these old classics, they are like custodians, as it were, and they are looking after these things for future generations to enjoy. I just hope you're getting a sense of what this thing is like to ride, but long may we continue to nurture these old classics. I mean, here we are chugging into a sharp right-hander. It doesn't seem to matter what gear you're in, you can just go round really easily, and it just seems to just take everything in its stride. I mean, you could ride this thing forever. It really is a credit to to Mick and the work he puts into it to make sure that it stays okay. As ever, the brakes are not perhaps up to modern standards, but the one thing you can be reassured of is that the engine braking that you have available is almost all you need, and for a quiet sort of ride down a road like this is the power, the torque is such that you really can enjoy the countryside, as it were, and it's really quite good. Fantastic. Yeah, so we're going to make our way out to the to a main road and see what she's like on the open road. But she is flipping along here really nice, and the warmer she gets, the nicer she is to ride. I mean, the power delivery is smooth. It feels sort of, you can be going along with any gear you like, and you can get along at any speed. I'm blown away, I have to say. I really am. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Mick for allowing me to have a ride on this beautiful, beautiful bike. And all power to his elbow for looking after these things and making them available for numpties like me to come and have a look at and have a ride on. Fantastic. Yeah, we're on some smoother roads now, and we've got some traffic lights. The all-conquering roadworks that we have to endure. Yeah, we just had to pull up a bit because a little bit sharpish, because that car was trying to get by another vehicle on the side of the road. And the thing the great thing about this sort of motor is that you just sort of change down a couple of gears and it pulls you up. You don't need brakes almost. It's fantastic. I know, you know, I'm probably sounding a bit over enthusiastic maybe, but you know, just having something like this, you know, available that you can just have a ride on. I mean, I have to say, are there any negatives? Well, I can't think of any. Yes, we mentioned the brakes and I won't go on about them, but other than that, this thing rides, steers, is superb. It's comfortable, you know, it really is. I mean, I didn't really want to come out this far, but Mick was saying, well, we'll head on the old 1101 towards Downham Market, or 1122, sorry. And I know that this road is quite a bendy sort of affair, and you know, I'm really getting to feel the handling characteristics of it, and it, you know, it's great. It really is. You find a line, you put it on the, you know, steer it towards where you want to go, and you end up the other side. Fantastic. I'm going to get by here. Is it worth the risk? Yep, we'll do it. Woo. Well, we've got a different viewpoint now. Looks like I've had a little drop of rain out this way. I thought somebody was getting a bit of rain. The other thing I've noticed, I'm in sort of top gear now, and you can sort of see, you seem to be able to put it into top gear and forget it. You know, you just cruise. You know, you open the throttle, it's not snatchy, the fueling seems lovely. And you can be in top gear and just cruise. You know, I can. Oh, it really is fantastic. The other thing is the ride quality. It's really plush. It's a big, comfortable seat. It's, you know, it feels light and flickable, but it takes these bumps on this fen road so beautifully. Yep, so we're now, after this fantastic ride, we're now making our way back. We're going to take these bendy roads again, which will be fantastic. You know, so before we actually get to hand this back to Mick and you know, the lucky owner of this fabulous machine, I'm just going to get the chance to take a few bends on this fen road just to finish off what has been a wonderful day. Yes, the other thing I've noticed about this is the way it just tractors through villages like this. I mean, here we go again, waxing lyrical, but fantastic. So to end, before we get back and hand this back to Mick, I'd just like to thank him so much for allowing me to come and visit him and take this fabulous machine for a ride. It's been a real privilege, so thank you so much, Mick. Well, Mick, I have to say that was an experience and a half.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. This is the first time I've ridden anything of this type. As you know, I've been on classic two-strokes, but anything like this, not been on before. So it's a real privilege. So thank you so much for allowing me to come and have a look at this, and even more so have a ride around on it. It's been great. I must say I've really enjoyed it, and I hope that you have too. So if you have enjoyed this video, I would hope that you would like and subscribe, and that will keep you up to date with everything that's happening on the channel. So I think without further ado, we will call a halt to proceedings here and now. So I'd just like to thank Mick for allowing us to have a look at this lovely machine here today. So it's goodbye from Mick.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. And as I said earlier, we'll see you in the next video.